Good evening, everyone. Adam here from Bold Logic. Hope everyone's enjoying this Sunday evening full of football and charting. So, how can you do any better than that? Make sure you check out our weekly watch list posted earlier today. It's got a bunch of good charts in there. Some that are set up and ready to go tomorrow. Some are going to go in a couple of days. So, you want to make sure you keep those on watch. Right now, we're going to go through the market analysis. First thing we're going to look at is the S&P. Remember last week on Thursday, the ECB released good information about buying bonds, and the market went crazy. It was up the big 2%. As you can see, our big 2% breakout here, coming out over the 20-day moving average, breaking out of the downtrend, breaking out of the highs from this box, and now pushing a little bit higher until we get into the underside of this downtrend, or the underside of this channel, I should say. Friday, we got a nice little boost in the market, up 0.4%, which is nothing to be shy about. What we'd like to see going forward is a nice consolidation, at least for the best bull case. We want to see a nice sideways consolidation before we really push up any more. As you can see, we're almost close to this downtrend here. Probably about 1443, 1445, we want to say. So not too many more points before we actually hit into some resistance. If we go sideways here, then we'll have a lot more room to run. Another thing we want to notice is if we have the Bollinger Bands on our price, we are now pushing outside the Bollinger Bands, which is something the market does not like to do. The one plus here is that we were squeezing pretty tight, and so the move outside the Bollinger Bands is something that can be recovered. It wasn't a huge move, as you would see, like one of these days that would came and push out of the Bollinger Bands, just because we were starting to push real tight. We were starting to squeeze the Bollinger Bands in the middle, so that one big move actually pushed us outside of it. So we would like to see, at least for the bulls, a nice sideways action, nice sideways price movement. That way we can recover inside the Bollinger Bands, not be so overbought or so overextended so quickly, and we still have more room to run. On the flip side of that, if we're looking for a bearish perspective, now would be the perfect time to start looking for shorts. If you really want to step in front of this market, just because we are outside the Bollinger Band and we are starting to push up against resistance, or at least in a couple more points we will be. So now might be the good time to test out some shorts just for risk reward perspective and really see if we can't start pulling back a little bit. Again, I'm still leaning bullish on this. I'm going to actually hold off on the shorts. I'm actually would rather sit on the sideline and look for the better longs to play than actually go heavy shorts. But if you did want to short, now would be a good time to at least get some feelers out there and see if we can't pull back just a little bit. Looking at the Russell 2000, another one of the strong sectors. As you can see, that gap up really pushed us outside the Bollinger Bands a lot on this one. These Bollinger Bands are a little bit wider than the S&P just because it has been so strong and it didn't have a bunch of doji candles during August. It actually started moving and up and down with some big candles. Therefore, the push outside the Bollinger Bands might actually need a good pullback on this one. So I would wait and expect for that. And again, we are starting to push up against resistance here at that 848 level. That's only 6 more points, another 0.6%, and we are pushing up against resistance. Again, not a good time to go heavy long on the small caps. I would prefer to actually wait and look for the better setups, maybe wait to see if we can get a sideways consolidation before we actually push a little bit higher. We are already overbought on the Russell, so definitely keep that on watch. NASDAQ, another big mover. It had a little bit less of a move on Friday, which is always good to see. It is a little bit overbought because it was such a strong index. But the inside day on Friday, or the small candle on Friday, is setting up good for a nice consolidation sideways. Again, keep this one on watch and see if we can get some longs out of it when it does finally move. Not a big fan of looking at the Dow transports, but I know a lot of people do. Theory here is the transports and the Dow average follow the same kind of path. So if one's up, they're both going up. As you can see, we did bounce off this lower trend line that we've been forming since back in December of 2011. We came down, bounced nicely. We were oversold, so it was a perfect bounce. We could see a nice run higher. We are going to watch out for this resistance here in that 200-day moving average, but we definitely have a lot of room to run up into this lower trend line. Taking a look at the VIX, remember on Thursday we were talking about how the VIX did not sell out as much as we thought it would. It needed another 7% or so to really make up for the move in the S&P, that 2% move in the S&P. We figured a lot of volatility was still stuck in there just because of the job numbers that were going to come out Friday. Lo and behold, we lost 7% in the VIX, which is the move we were looking for originally. So there was the volatility that finally came out of that. Volatility down in the 14s. We could see it drop a little bit lower. When the market opens on Monday, we'll actually see volatility come back into the market just because the market makers are pushing volatility back in from the weekend effect. That is, they take out volatility on Friday and then they stick it back in on Monday to make up for the days lost on the weekend. Would not say volatility is oversold here. I would not try to get long volatility just because it needs to bounce. It definitely could flatten out somewhere around the 13s and the 14s. Financials finally did squeeze between that 20 and that resistance. Another big move. As you see, it busted out on good, strong volume. It is overbought, so it does need to relax. Always good sight to see when the financials are moving. The same with technology. Big move outside of this downtrend or this nice little flag pattern. Had good volume and a nice inside day, nice consolidation there on Friday. Could definitely move higher. So the name of the game this week is just wait for see if the market can consolidate, see if it needs to rest a bit, maybe pull back just a little bit, nothing serious. We don't want to see no strong pullbacks come in and really erase any of those gains. What we want to see is just a nice sideways price move. That way we're working on for overbought conditions through time. We have some things coming up on the economic calendar, looking at Bloomberg. We have a pretty quiet week at the beginning of the week. As you can see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not really anything coming up that's really going to affect the market. Thursday, we have the jobless numbers as always. And then down in the evening, or down in the late afternoon, I should say, is the FOMC announcements. So we definitely want to keep that on watch. The FOMC announcements usually makes for pretty rough trading days. Usually volume is going to fall off right before the announcement. Trading will pretty much come to a lull, a slowdown time right before the announcement. Then the announcement's going to release. You're going to get a really big and violent reaction to it in one direction, and then you'll get a counter reaction to that soon after. So you definitely want to be careful playing the market too much during those times. And then Friday we have a couple of numbers coming out that should swing the market a little bit. So again, Thursday and Friday are going to be our big news days. We want to keep those on watch. We want to trade lightly going into those days and just make sure we're not loading up or leveraging ourselves to the hill right before some big announcement comes out. All right, everyone, that was our market analysis. Again, I hope you enjoyed your weekend, and we're going to see you during the week. Good luck to you.